Welcome to Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt of the Marquardt Law Firm at marquardtlawfirm.com.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt, on the radio, on podcasts, on Facebook Live, on YouTube, and on talklawradio.com. We've just started talking about Medicare, and somebody I knew was sort of worried because people don't know what they're supposed to do. They don't know whether they're entitled to Medicare or not. And so I tell people that even Bill Gates and Warren Buffett get Medicare because it's not based on income at all. But before we get started talking about that, Shannon, you wanted to know about my nickname. I was reading a newsletter that said that more millennials use Reddit than other generations. And I'm starting to think that millennials are my ideal demographic for wills and trusts. So I wanted to learn what that was all about.
Yeah.
And so I got the Reddit app, and it asked me what my name was, and in fine print it says, by the way, most people don't use their real name.
Oh, okay.
Because it's targeted for people like my age that don't know what they're doing.
Okay.
So I tried the TODD nickname, except that was already taken.
Oh.
I could go TO double, but there's another TODD out there. So I'm BIGTODD.
Oh, I like it even better.
That's right.
I love it.
Okay,
We just need a sick beat under that now.
I know. We'll have to develop a rap. There we go.
Get on it, Marquito.
So, John, you're licensed. It requires a license for you to talk about Medicare, right?
Yes, to get certified for Medicare as a broker or an agent, you have to have a Group 1 life and health license.
Okay. And you have that?
Yes, I've had that for about 20 years.
Okay. What do you hear as like the beginning questions of like my client did? He had that one about what do I do if I'm still employed but I'm turning 65? What are some other common questions that new people have when they're trying to get started?
That's one of the big ones is do I have to do it now? You know, and then I ask the question, are you still working? Are you covered under employer group health? But what a lot of people don't know is that if they're drawing Social Security benefits when they're approaching age 65, Medicare will usually or Social Security will automatically enroll them in Medicare about 4 months before their birth month.
Oh.
So they will be automatically enrolled. And I've sat down with clients before that had no idea that they had already been enrolled. So we've looked into it, found out they were already enrolled, so we didn't have to do that. If you're not drawing Social Security benefits, then you have to apply for Part A and B. One thing that a lot of people don't realize is if they're on an employer group health plan and they have an HSA account, if they apply for Medicare, either Part A or Part B, and they have an HSA account, then they're not allowed to fund that HSA account anymore.
Okay.
So Part A is
confusing.
No premium, and Part B has a monthly cost for it. So it comes down to weighing what's going to be best for them as far as employer group health or Medicare.
But if you're working and you have no employer-sponsored health insurance, then that would be an opportunity where you could sign up for Medicare and just continue working.
Yes, and if your spouse has you covered, that counts.
Oh, okay.
So if your spouse is working and you're covered under an employer group health under them, then you still have the ability to defer your Medicare without penalty. But if you aren't covered under one of those plans and you don't get your Medicare when you're turning 65 within your initial enrollment period, which is 7 months long, so it's the month you turn 65 3 months before and 3 months after.
Oh, okay.
So if you don't apply for your Medicare during that time and then you try to get it later, you could accrue penalties for your Part B and or your drug coverage.
Wow. This is so scary. You know, I wasn't scared before, but there's all these rules about what you can and you can't do. So I wanted to ask you, Shannon, what's funny about Medicare? This will help me lead into the next topic. So tell your joke.
Okay, so for the context, you need to know that I'm sure everyone knows there's 4 parts, A, B, C, and D, right? So they need a part E. Now, I need to put a disclaimer. This is not funny. Y'all laugh, but this is not a funny joke.
But it is a joke.
Is it though? Is it though? So they need to make a part E because the E is for educate.
Yes.
So educate about all those other parts.
That's right.
If it ever was funny, I totally ruined it. Because you can't explain it.
I guess we would call that a mom joke.
Yeah, that's a really bad mom joke.
Yeah, I have a dad joke coming up next segment. But so why don't you go over the A, B, C, and D?
Okay, so Medicare Part A is the hospitalization coverage. That'll cover your inpatient hospitalization, home health, skilled nursing, and hospice care. And most people don't pay any premium for that. As long as you have your 40 credible quarters of Medicare taxes paid, then you don't have a premium on the monthly basis for Part A. Then there's Part B. Part B is your outpatient or medical services. So that's your doctor's office visits, your surgeons, your ambulance, your ER urgent care, and your labs and radiology. And there is a monthly premium for that people pay. For this year, it's $174.70 per month. The official numbers haven't been released for next year yet. So we're waiting on that to come out so that I can start telling clients and everybody what it's going to be next year.
So will they come out with it before Tuesday?
I hope so. But I don't know. I don't know.
You could presumptively sign up for something and you don't know what the cost is going to be.
Well, yes and no, because Part B is the same for everybody. So everybody is going to be paying that same premium unless they qualify for assistance programs where they pay zero, or if their income is too high, then they can get hit with what we call IRMA charges, which are income-related monthly adjustment amount charges, which means they pay more for their Part B.
Okay.
And that's based off of income, modified adjusted gross income off the tax return from 2 years prior. So for this year, it's based off 2022's tax return. For 2025, it'll be based off of 2023's tax return.
So if you are working and you plan on applying for Medicare soon, then you might have to look at your earned income to decide whether or not you want to continue earning income.
Well, if you are going to get hit with IRMA charges, quitting work now isn't going to help you until 2026.
Yeah.
So it comes down to, I say that, but if you have a work stoppage or work reduction, then there's a way to appeal the IRMA charges, and you may be able to get them removed this year because your work status is changing.
Yeah.
And I help clients do that all the time.
Okay. I interrupted you. You were talking about the B premium, and we need to finish with C and D.
Yes. So that's Part B. For Part C, that is known as Medicare Advantage. So that is a private insurance that you can get. And those plans will typically have some kind of advantage, which is why they call it Medicare Advantage.
Yeah.
Like extra benefits, and they will often include dental coverage or dental, hearing, vision coverage.
Oh, okay.
They can also, they will usually include drug coverage, which is known as Part D.
Yeah.
And Part D is really the part that's changing big time for next year for everybody on Medicare.
What do you think those changes might be?
Well, there's a term called the donut hole or coverage gap with drug coverage. So if people take a lot of expensive drugs, they can fall into the coverage gap or donut hole this year. And when you do that, your share of the drug cost goes up significantly in most cases. And next year, because of the Inflation Reduction Act, the donut hole is going away. So next year, people are going to have a out-of-pocket maximum on their prescription drugs of $2,000.
Okay. Yeah, I wondered about the Inflation Reduction Act, what the benefits were going to be for that, because there was a lawsuit. I'll bring that up a little bit later. So if you don't sign up for Advantage, do you have to pay extra for Part D?
Yes, you can. So you have two options when you get original Medicare on how you want to protect yourself from the out-of-pocket costs of Part A and B. And option one is a supplement and a prescription drug plan, which you would have a monthly premium in most cases for both of those parts. And then the other option is Medicare Advantage.
Okay. And I've heard of Medicare supplements that also have letters assigned to them.
Yes.
How is that different?
From an Advantage plan?
Yeah.
So with a supplement, it is basically picking up what original Medicare doesn't cover. So you're still on original Medicare. Mm-hmm. And then there's co-pays and deductibles and things with original Medicare. And the supplement can pick up majority of those costs for you in exchange for a monthly premium that you pay. With an Advantage plan, you're actually selecting a private insurance company to take over management of your original Medicare Part A and B, and then they provide drug coverage and additional benefits in many cases with that.
Okay. So I asked one of my friends, what questions or myths about Medicare are you curious about? And he said, the biggest myth is that it pays for everything. He says it does not. By the time you pay for it, plus a supplement and a prescription drug card, you're talking at least $400 a month. And you better know that your coverage, it will change.
Yes.
Is that a common opinion?
One thing about Medicare is it changes. Mm-hmm. So if you have a supplement, your premium is going to change year over year. Drug plans will have changes as far as co-pays, premiums,
and the benefits.
The formularies, mm-hmm. what your drugs fall into which tier of drug, those can change. Advantage plans make changes every year to co-pays, benefits, premiums, things like that.
How do you start your analysis when somebody says, I need your help? I don't know all of that stuff that you just talked about. I still don't know what I need or want.
So what I do first is I go over a Medicare Explained presentation with them, which talks about what Part A is and what their exposure mm-hmm. is, what Part B is, what Part C is, what a supplement is, what a drug plan is, and all that, to get them a basic understanding of how Medicare works and what it is. And then it comes down to asking a bunch of questions about, what are your concerns? Are you concerned about medical issues? Are you concerned about drug costs? Are you concerned about having some extra benefits like dental and vision, things like that? Because there is no one plan for everybody.
Okay.
There's a reason that there's a lot of plans.
Right.
Because plan A may be right for someone and completely wrong for the other person. So It all comes down to what's your need and what's your situation.
So if I ask you what's the best plan, could you tell us after the break?
I can answer that after the break.
Okay. We'll be right back.
This has been Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt, brought to you by the Marquardt Law Firm. You can learn more at marquardtlawfirm.com. And be sure to listen to the full Talk Law Radio show Saturday mornings at 11 on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Each week, attorney Todd Marquardt talks about the law. His mission with the Talk Law radio show and podcast is to help you discover your legal issue blind spots. In the beginning, God had one law. Don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then came the 10 Commandments. Now we have federal, state, and municipal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws. Laws that might impact you without you knowing it. Listen to the show and drop a line on Facebook or email host@talklawradio.com and let the host know what you think of the show, the topics you want to hear, and whether you want to be a guest.